Joe Biden spending his Thanksgiving in the lap of luxury at a $39 million estate on Nantucket, but his lavish feast stands in stark contrast to the modest meals many Americans can cobble together.
The cost of the average Thanksgiving dinner is still way up compared to what it was before Biden took office. A cherry on top of that crappy Bidenomics cake, a new survey found that 42% of Americans now believe that the American dream is out of reach, and that is a 9% increase from just 5 years ago.
Well, let's turn it over to the Heritage Foundation economist Joel Griffith. Joel, good to see you. This is a real problem, as Dagan just mentioned. 9% more Americans feel like the American dream is dead, and maybe this Thanksgiving, as people are having a hard time funding their own Thanksgiving dinner as Joe Biden sits in a $39 million estate, no doubt they should feel that way.
Oh, a typical family, without a doubt, is feeling the pinch right now. A two-income family, upper middle class, is suffering around an $8,000 annual pay cut. And Thanksgiving dinner, that's just part of it. Of course, you got the travel costs. If you looking to buy a home, it's costing you another $1,000 a month of mortgage. And a lot of the numbers that are coming out right now are very negative. We see auto defaults that are up, credit card delinquencies up, credit card balances at an all-time high. And I'm fearful it's going to get worse until real changes are made in Washington, D.C.
We always talk about it was inflation and then the interest rates skyrocketing by the Federal Reserve initially to fight it. But with mortgage rates going up, and we talk about home sales hit a new 13-year low yesterday for the previous month. This is existing homes. Home affordability is the worst it's been in decades. And if you compare where prices were the last time mortgage rates were at 7.3%, 7.5%, they were almost 8%. You have to have home prices come down about 30% to get them to where they are, adjusting for just regular inflation, to make them to bring affordability in line with where they should be.
Oh, yeah. Home affordability has never been worse in this country. Overall, right now, it takes you close to 50% of a typical income just to make a typical mortgage payment. And of course, there's other parts of the country, such as Miami, New York City, that are even worse than that, where it takes you about 65% of your income just to pay those bills. And sadly, both Republicans and Democrats seem reluctant to make the changes to the housing market that are necessary. We have seen now for decades trillions of dollars of government subsidized monies flooding into the real estate market, compounded by our central bank purchasing mortgage-backed securities. Federal government policies have created this housing bubble just like they created the housing bubble in 2006, and by every metric, the housing bubble today is actually worse than it was 14 years ago.
Yeah, it is worse.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, as the American dream continues to reach, as Americans continue to reach for the American dream, a new study reveals the amount of cash that each generation would feel or need to feel happy. Gen Z and Gen X and baby boomers all put in that number between $120,000 and $130,000. But according to millennials, the cost of happiness is a cool $500,000. And so, Joel, it's interesting that people feel like the American dream is dead, but you have these young people with, I think, inflated senses of self, thinking they can only feel happy with $500,000. What?
Well, I actually am on the tail end of that millennial spectrum right now. So I did a little budget for myself at $500,000 a year, which I'm not quite earning at Heritage. And that would get you the country club membership, a penthouse apartment in DC, both a Lexus and a BMW, an upgrade to your wardrobe each and every month. And you would still have about $120,000 to pay your federal income taxes. So what I think the survey shows is less of a crass materialism on the part of millennials and more, I think it speaks to the fact that a lot of us are not learning basic consumer math in undergrad. And, thankfully, there's other surveys that do show about 65% of millennials say that they're happy. I don't think that the millennial understands that if you're making $500,000 a year, that puts you in the top 3 of every 1,000 of your peers.
Wow. They're out of touch.